I would like to introduce our speaker to you. I'm very fortunate that usually once a year, this time it's almost been 18 months since our family had come in from Thailand. And each time we've come, we've managed to get Quentin to come and share a promotion, whether it's been with Vietnam initially and a little later with Thailand, as both those countries now are under Quentin's care as country director. And it's nice to have him come in and just share with some aspect of the ADRA program, what's happening out there. That's of interest, I think, to all of us as we go about that. You may be also remembering that many of us in the church some time ago, when Quentin was talking about things in Vietnam, that we started a goat fundraising fund. And I can almost imagine, in fact, that little song, "The hills are alive with the sound of music." It's "The hills are alive with the sound of goats bleating" from Foresters Beach Church, from the money you donated. Quentin will give us a little update on that as well, and then we'll just share with you at the end. So Quentin, thank you very much. Glad you're home again, because not only have you filled another spot here in the Sabbath School program for me, but it's great to have the family all here with us too. Thanks, Quentin.
Thank you. And it's very hard to turn down Russell when he asked me to speak up at the front. Having a big father-in-law ask you to do something is good encouragement. But yeah, thank you for having me back again. And as Russell mentioned, I thought I'd just quickly start and give a quick update on the goats in Vietnam. The goats are still alive and breeding and growing, and I asked the staff there to have a quick follow-up because we no longer have the same project in the same area, but they happened to go through there, it was October, and they told me there are goats, and our goats are still there and they're still breeding and people are still caring for them, so that's still going on and being a blessing. So thank you very much for your support on that. The work in Vietnam still goes on, and we're still doing some different types of agriculture projects and education projects for children there, so keeps me a little bit busy going back and forward when I get the chance. But today, I'll focus on Thailand and the work we're doing there. So since I last saw you, we've been very busy, had a lot happening. And, just a bit of a view of the lovely nature in Thailand that we get to enjoy in the mountains. We're in the north, in Chiang Mai, so if you've ever been to Thailand, we're up in the mountains. And we've just come from our Thailand winter. And so we're enjoying the actual summer of Australia, where it's about 5 or 6 degrees cooler than our nice warm winter. So we've been enjoying the varied weather as you've been having. We just came after the heat waves, so that was nice. But we've been responding to emergencies. We get a lot of flooding in Thailand, particularly in the east. It's very flat near the Mekong River. We've had communities go underwater for a couple of months at a time, so we're able to go in and do the initial assessment and see who's affected and what support we can gather and how we can distribute that. But yeah, when they get a flood, it really does tend to flood. And you got muddy roads, trying to get access, trying to work out how to get to villages and find out who's there and who needs assistance with our staff and volunteers. But we tend to provide food and water as our support, package those up with our volunteers, and we've got a team of local church members, some staff, and I thought it was Pathfinders actually. I didn't even know the difference. I thought that's a funny uniform for Pathfinders, but it was actually I guess you'd call it Army Reserves. They have a program where the young men in high school start training for the Army, and they're conscripted at 18 to go and serve in the Army. So we had the local young Army recruits coming to help us, which was very good. So then we have a distribution point where people come and can gather and collect their food, and then sometimes we have to go out as well and deliver it. But that was good. That was our group of volunteers. So if you've ever been to Thailand, been out to the east to Ubon Ratchathani in the Isan province, that's where this response was. And we had a good number of church folk volunteer and come and help us out with the distribution as well. So church people have got the ADRA vests on, and then the other volunteers there. We respond to other emergencies from time to time. This was for a village that had been affected by flooding. I'm trying to remember, we've done quite a few of these. Which one in this picture? I'm just squinting myself. But we often work with the police. This was actually immigration police who were coordinating, which is a funny group of people to do it. But we were able to put clothes and food and packages together to go out and support a village in the northern mountains of Thailand. And again, yes, sometimes we have to deliver it to people coming in boats and different ways, but we try and get our ADRA logo and our ADRA name out there to represent the work that our church and our mission of reaching out into people and helping those in need as much as possible. One of our biggest programs at Thailand is actually focus on refugee education, and it comes in two forms. One is in vocational training, training young people who finish school in different skills. The hope is that they can leave Thailand and go back to Myanmar or Burma, where they're originally from, with a skill, or settle into Thailand and get employment there. Or at the moment, there's a new program of the US government is going to take some refugees from these camps, so providing them with a skill that they can then use to re-establish their lives somewhere else. But our biggest work, and we work with just to explain, I forgot this one. That's a picture of me, as you can tell. And I'm standing in Thailand looking at Burma, Myanmar. So that's the river that divides the country at a town called Mae Sot. So you can just swim across. It's pretty easy to do. It'll take you it's half the size of an Olympic swimming pool in most places. So refugees can come back and forward quite easily. And the interesting thing on the other side, when I took this picture, was to note those big buildings. And you think, okay, Myanmar is having a civil war, there's a fighting going on, there's conflict. But these are Chinese casinos. The Chinese are building casinos in the middle of a war so that their own citizens can fly in and do some gambling and make money off them. So that's causing all sorts of other social problems as well. So I shouldn't be smiling in that picture, should I? I should be frowning. But I noted the distance and the ease of crossing countries. We forget that in Australia. You know, we have to get on a plane or go on a big boat ride, but when you're surrounded by other countries, people can just swim across a river, walk across and change countries. But these are the sort of schools that we support. We support 40,000 plus children in basic education supplies, books, pens, paper. We also support the teachers to get a small stipend in the camp. And the teachers are refugees themselves, who we train up to provide the education to the children. We also provide a lot of the building and construction materials. So as a refugee camp, the Thai government doesn't allow them to have permanent buildings. So everything has to be semi-permanent. So it's just bits of wood and corrugated iron and tied together, not supposed to be cemented together, not supposed to be fixed permanently. So the maintenance year after year of these temporary structures is quite a burden. But classes vary from school to school. Some classes will be a nice 20, 30 kids as a small size. I've been to classrooms of 70 year 8 students in one room trying to be taught English, maths, science, things like that. I know there's a few teachers in the room. I don't know how you'd go with 70 students in a room. And because they're temporary shelters, there's no solid walls between any of the classrooms. So you can have 12 grades going at once, and it's just deafening. It's like you're in I don't know if you've ever been in like one of those chicken farms and they're all just going at once. Trying to learn is quite a challenge. But here we are. We've brought in at the moment in this picture some of the education books, and students are coming to distribute them out to the classrooms. We do this with the support from the European Union. So this is European Union money. They have a concern for the refugees, and so they support us in doing that, which we appreciate. They also have strict rules. And one of the challenges is in a refugee camp, you don't have a fixed set of people. You know, it's close to the border, people come and go. But the Thai government sets the numbers every year. This is officially how many people are in these camps and how many students are in. So we're only actually allowed to provide the number of official people in the camp. But we've been noting with the ongoing conflict in Burma and Myanmar that's going on, we've had a 10% increase in student numbers sitting in the classroom every year for the last 3 years. So there's about 30% more children sitting in the classrooms, but we can't legally provide them the extra books. So they're all sharing and distributing, and it's a bit of a challenge for us. We'd like to be able to provide more, but it's a funny thing when you're working one government who wants to give support, one government who controls the country with the people, setting a different set of rules, and us in the middle trying to do our best. This is just a little snapshot. I didn't have many pictures. It's a bit hard to see on the screen, but on your left, is the sewing tailoring class, and I was quite surprised. My grandmother had an old Singer pedal sewing machine. I think some people here might have seen some of those, might be young enough to remember. But they were learning on that because there's no permanent electricity in the camps. We have to fire up a generator from time to time to run some of the classes, but if they want to practice outside of hours, they're there with their feet going and doing a good job. And then on the right is the computer course. So of course you need power for computers, but we've got some basic laptops and generators and power bank things to stop the surges. But we're often teaching teenagers their first use on a computer, and so they're learning how to type, which was fun to watch them do, just with their fingers trying to do speed typing. But learning skills that they can use outside the camps in the future. And legally, I'm not even supposed to have taken the picture in the middle. We're not allowed to take pictures of the camps. It's illegal in Thailand because the Thai government doesn't want the world to know what the camps look like, but that's just a basic shot. If you imagine a shanty town in the jungle, that's essentially what it is. Just tin and bamboo and shelters tied together. And at the moment, there's officially 90,000 refugees living in 9 camps along the border. But when we do our census counts independently, it's more like 120, 150,000 at any given day where people are actually living in the camps. Just a more distribution, that's just bulk paper, chart paper for the teachers and different materials. Some of the camps are hard to get to, so we can't take our trucks, so then we've got to take the ADRA pickups and load them up as much as we can and break the suspension and do all those fun things you have to do and repairs and maintenance afterwards, but we get the things delivered. And just some more sorting of educational materials. Here's some of the construction materials. So only once a year we get to come in and load up with new plywood, new corrugated iron sheets, bamboo poles, other wooden poles, just to reinforce the schools again, because the termites love wood there in the middle of the jungle, so we're always replacing all the beams and things that get eaten out throughout the year. But this, unfortunately, I've shown you all the exciting things. This is what I spend most of my time doing as a country director, putting on a suit and a tie and sitting in meetings and arguing for more funding and trying to get more access with the government. And so here on the left, I'm at a government meeting where they're just talking about how do we do some more work, and took myself a selfie. And on the right, we have the head of the UNHCR, United Nations Human Rights Commission, talking. They love talking, the UN. They love to just pompously talk about all the things we're doing. We're going to have a high-level delegation meeting and talk about the problem that we talked about last week and talk some more about it. But these are the people we have to work with to influence and try to get them to fund our programs more. And they are quite sympathetic, but they've got as much red tape as we do in our Adventist system. I don't want to talk too much about that, but anyone who's worked within the Adventist system knows the red tape. And it's there for a reason, but it's cumbersome. One of my favourite pictures of just distributing some of the goods with all the kids actually nicely lined up, and Linda from our office handing out some of the books. Oh, how'd that slip in there? Oh, that's me actually working. When I get a chance, I like to get my hands a bit dirty and do something helpful, and we were working at Chiang Mai Adventist Academy School there. Another project which is dear to our hearts and to many around Australia who have been supporting the Keep Girls Safe project for many years is another project we have. That's the shelter itself. Russell was asking me to add a few pictures, and because it's a Keep Girls Safe shelter, we actually don't take many pictures because we're trying to keep the girls safe and we're trying to protect their identities. So I didn't actually have too many, but I did find that they did have an official shot that we had approved and shared of some of the girls in the shelter and the staff. We have, I'll go back one just to give a bit of scope. In that building, we can house up to 30 women who've been at risk or rescued from human trafficking or child labour or some of the other abuses that take place for girls in Thailand. Currently, we have got about 17, something like that, ranging from the age of 7 to 17 who are living there. And we have some others who've graduated and going to like Mission College and some other places for further training before they graduate. But we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. The other things we do in this is just advocate and share about, and this was a pastoral care and counselling training for religious leaders in northern Thailand. We go out and talk about the abuse of children and girls and how that takes place inside religious organisations as well as in the community and what they can do to be part of it. I don't know what it is with us Adventists, but I attended this meeting and I said, I thought it was for all religious leaders in the northern Thailand. And they said, no, we've got the other pastors coming next week. They don't like to mix with our Adventist pastors. Our Adventist pastors turn it into a theological debate every time we get together. So we don't want to meet with them anymore. So I don't know whether that was a good or a bad thing on behalf of our pastors, but we do work with the community in a wider sense, trying to protect and care for the girls of northern Thailand. We're also meeting with this is the province of Chiang Rai Education Director, the guy in the pink. Met with him recently just to talk about more work we want to be able to do on cybersecurity. Because there's all sorts of terrible things happening in Thailand now where people contact children with their phones and say, send me a couple of nice pictures of you, and that's lovely, and we'll give you a few dollars. Oh, send me a few more with a little less clothes, and we'll send you a few more dollars. And just these kind of tricks that girls can get caught up in. And when you come from a poor family and someone's feeding you a few dollars, it's a big incentive. And so we want to roll out some more cybersecurity type training in schools across northern Thailand. So it's another initiative we're working on. But I'm not quite ending yet. I think Russell's coming up now and we'll talk a little bit more. But I just wanted to thank you for your prayers and your support that we've been receiving here from Foresters Beach Church. We know that Russell's probably raises us every now and then when he talks about different things that are going on and gives us a chance to talk to you, and appreciate that very much. So we'll continue to ask for your prayers and support. And a way that you can support us is through a little initiative we're doing with the Keep Girls Safe project. And that is, we realised when Kelly and I visited, and Kelly's a great reader and so are our kids, they had almost no books for the girls. And any book they had, they'd all read 2 or 3 times. And we wanted to give this as a very sort of specific and targeted way in which we're going to ask for support.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Quentin. Thank you very much for sharing that report. It was a very informative report. This actually started with me. In fact, Deacons, if you wouldn't mind now, just handing out, probably about 1 per family group would be good. I think there's enough for that, the flyer. Kelly, Quentin's wife, our daughter, who works in the office there at ADRA as well, had decided to start up a project, and what you are getting now is actually the letter that she wrote up to send out to all us in the family and any friends in Australia who might be interested in this particular project about putting new books into the library of the Keep Girls Safe school, or is it school? Shelter. To put some new books in there because the others are just totally worn out and they're desperately needing something just to keep the girls' minds fresh and looking to bigger things than what they've actually come from. And I said to Kel, hey, listen, I think this would be a really good project for us as a church to get involved in. And that's why I have suggested, would you mind if I duplicated the same letter that you sent out to us, give it out to our church members, and as you are able, and I think about when we started the GOAT project, you were just, that week, the weeks that follow, you were popping money into Quent's pocket, my pocket, etc., and it all went to this project. And in about a month, we collected several $1,000s that started that program off. And I thought it would be really nice, because I know a lot of you look for little projects like this where you can give and help in a very specific way to ADRA. This is not taking away from when we do our general offerings for ADRA or your other general giving that you may do to ADRA Australia, etc. But this is just a specific project that's been basically organised by Kel to go straight into the hands of these girls and see if you could help. Now, as the flyer will tell you, and it's probably good for you to actually read the flyer yourself to get the general picture of it, to help with this, you can do it one of 2 or 3 ways. One way is, you'll notice on the back of the flyer, there is a direct debit there going into the Campbell's account, but as you'll notice, please let them know when you put money in there that so that they can track that and it goes to the right place. You can direct debit, and that's an Australian bank account, so that there's no lost fees for you there. It all goes direct into the project. Or you can do it by cash, And this Sabbath and next Sabbath and the Sabbath that follows, those of you who just simply want to do, look, I'll just do it here. Here's a note, whatever. You can give it to today while the Campbells are with us. You can give it to either of them or myself. But in the next 2 Sabbaths, so I'll give you 2 Sabbaths, and I'll give you a little bit reminder of this in the bulletin, etc. In the meantime, in the next 2 Sabbaths, if you want to do a cash donation, get it to me, and I'll put it all together and direct debit myself to that project. I think it's a great, worthy project. We often hear about keeping girls safe in Australia, but this is a bigger problem in other parts of the world as well. And I'm glad that ADRA is doing something, and I'm glad that we can help as well. So again, thank you, Quentin. Thanks for coming, and thanks for sharing. And for those who would like to help with this project, just love to hear from you. Well, you don't have to hear from you, but as I said, the details there for you in which you can help. Much appreciated.